Alright, so I got 22 orders going out for $5.56. Alright y'all, so welcome back to another video. I appreciate you guys for tuning back in. Hopefully everything's going well for you guys out there. So this is a pair of Saucony Endorphin running sneakers. I've been selling sneakers primarily in my reselling business for dang near a decade. I've been pivoting a little more into clothes since we got to Tennessee. Haven't quite got to the same level of volume as far as finding the amount of shoes that I would find up in Oregon. But this is my first time really touching the Saucony brand. I never really touched it prior to the year or so that I've been in Nashville. The Endorphins sell really well. These are really light, and I found out that they're really popular. They probably only cost maybe $1.50. Like I said, they're super light, and they sold quick for 40 bucks plus shipping. All right, so more Patagonia baggies that had paint stains on them. I was talking a couple of videos back how you can just easily get the paint wet, get a butter knife, and it'll scrape right off. Usually if you're sourcing down at a place like the bins, if people see paint stains on them, they're usually just going to toss them back. I've literally seen people do it. And so this is a prime example. It literally took me probably less than 5 minutes to remove the paint, and 50 cents on the buy cost, sold for 15 plus shipping. All right, so if you're willing to do the research, there's so much money to be made out there. Even if you're in the area where you can't find like the hype stuff, the brands that everybody wants, there's money literally on every single rack if you're just willing to get your knowledge up. This is just a prime example. These are just a pair of Bibong surfing shorts. I mean, you can find these by the carloads, literally probably at every bins and most thrift shops. But you got to do the research to see what styles sell. So I found these down at the bins probably about a month ago, and they just sold 25 cents on the buy cost, and somebody spent 16 bucks, and I think the shipping on these were even 7 bucks. So you're talking about 20 to 23 bucks on a pair of used swimming trunks. So this is just a basic Pennzoil racing hat. I'm usually picking up probably somewhere in the neighborhood of probably like 3 to 5 hats per week, and usually I'm at the bins. That's where I do 90 to 95% of my sourcing. And so if I can find a hat that sells, they usually only cost about 25 cents. If I can sell it for 10, 12 bucks, it's usually a go for me. So that's what happened in this situation. Super cheap, 25 cents, and it sold for 10 bucks plus shipping. So this is a Mack Weldon. It's a Puma cotton V-neck t-shirt. I usually pick these up if they're in really good condition, because usually I can sell them for somewhere between 12 and sometimes 20 bucks. This one is really clean. It looks like it's dang near brand new. But anyway, it's probably 50 cents on the buy cost, and somebody bought this one this morning for 15 plus shipping. I've talked about for years on this channel the notion that base hits keep you in business. I believe that a lot of my sales are 10, 15, 25, and every now and again I get those really good sales. But man, if you can just kind of keep the chains moving with those everyday sales that most people can pay for and actually want, I mean, that's going to be enough if you can do that consistently. And so this is just a pair of Huck. They probably are what, board or fishing shorts. Goodwill bins pickup. Something that usually I can move pretty consistently when I find it. 50 cents, and they sold for 15 bucks plus shipping. Democracy usually moves okay if you find the bigger sizes. I think I mentioned probably like 3, 4, maybe even 5 months ago about how I first discovered this brand when I went back home to DFW to visit. I found a pair of Democracy, I think it was a pair of jeans at the Dallas bins, and so I've been picking it up ever since. These aren't jeans, they're more like maybe chino pants. But anyway, they're a women's 10. Found these down at the bins here in Tennessee, probably, let's just say 2 bucks, and they sold for 16 bucks plus, I think the shipping on these were 9. So this is another base hit, and you probably can find these in pretty good supply. It's even a smaller size, just a pair of BKE Stella. They're the cutoff shorts. I don't think these are distressed, they're just cut off. And a women's 28, so a lot of people probably see size 28 and probably won't bother with it. But if you just kind of do the research, and if there's movement, you can sell it basically. So probably $1.50 on the buy cost, and these sold for 15 plus shipping. All right, so if you've been watching just in the last year and a half since I've been here, you know I'm at the bins a few days a week, and I usually stay from open to close. They open up at 8. The last rotation is usually right around 4 o'clock, and it's a long, exhausting day, and there's periods that you go through where there's not a whole lot coming out, and so I'm constantly asking myself, there's something in these bins. At some point, all this stuff was items that people bought brand new for good hard-earned cash. And so I always kind of have that mentality when I'm kind of digging, because I know that there's money to be made somewhere in there. This is just a Kroger apron. A lot of people are going to look at this and write it off as pure garbage, but we know the truth, right? This is probably 25-50 cents on the buy cost, and something like this I believe sold for I think it sold for 15 bucks plus shipping. All right, so let's keep it rolling. Another base hit. This is just a basic Best Buy polo, nothing special. Most people look at it, probably won't bother with it. It's probably 50 cents from the bins. And these, I mean, if you find like a Best Buy jacket, usually you can sell those for 25-35 bucks. It really just depends on the model and kind of, I guess, the activity that's going on in the market. But anyway, 50 cents on this. And this, so I found on this particular day when I found this polo right here, there was probably 3 or 4 in that same bin. And you know me, I grabbed them all. And I think I have, this may either be the last one or there's one left that I have. And I've been selling them between 12 to 15 plus shipping. This one sold for 12, and I think most of the shipping on these are 7 bucks. All right, so this is just a pair of kid Dunks, and Dunks by far have become my favorite shoe to wear from Nike. Out of all the shoes that I own, it seems like they're the most comfortable to wear all day for me. I'm trying to stay away from picking up youth sizes in sneakers. I mean, unless it's something that I feel like I can move quick, I'm trying to maybe kind of phase that out as much as possible. These came from the bins. I think they probably, it's probably like 60 days ago I found these. So probably 2 bucks on the buy cost, and then they sold for 22 plus shipping. All right, so I'm trying to add stuff in these videos that I know people can find and that it's available everywhere, because I know one of the main things you hear people saying in the reselling space is that you can't find any good stuff. That may be true, but you can build a business on these base hits, and if you do it right, I mean, you'll be in good shape. This is just a pair of Old Navy bike shorts. Bike shorts sell great, especially if it's anything over a large. They usually move 2-3 weeks tops, for me anyway. Usually don't sell them for a lot of money, but they do sell quick. 25 to 50 cents on the buy cost, and these sold for 7 plus shipping. So right here is an Athleta. This model is called the Fairway Golf Skirt. It's a women's large, so a pretty decent size. It's the one that's actually lined as well. This was really clean. Goodwill bins, pick up probably about a month ago. Probably 75 cents to $1 on the buy cost, and I got 16 plus shipping. This is just a basic Polo Sport t-shirt. Nothing too fancy. You usually can find a lot of Polo t-shirts where I source that down at the bins. This is probably 50 cents on the buy cost, and it was a pretty quick seller, under, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks, for 20 plus shipping. All right, so this is just a Shaq jersey. I found this one at the bins probably about 60 or so days ago. It has like the throwback logo, and here's the nameplate on the back. But anyway, it probably only cost 50 cents, and this one actually sold this morning right before I was getting ready to start recording this video. I think it sold for 25 plus shipping. Alrighty, so I think this is just about going to do it for me, and so I appreciate you guys for coming along with me. If you got anything out of the video, like it, consider subscribing to the channel. I'll catch y'all right back here on the next video. Succeed.
This might be all that I know. Think it's okay. I've got a long way to grow. At my own pace. Go the long way. No one taught me how to walk, but I figured it out fine.